the one by Skillet here on British Israel Radio, the nation's identity station. My name is Peter Salemi, pastor and president of the British Israel Church of God, playing for you Christian contemporary music all day long for you here on British Israel Radio. And of course, if you want to contact me live on the radio broadcast, MSN Messenger, just punch in our Hotmail email account in your MSN Messenger. And if you have a microphone, just press start talking. And of course, you can talk to me live on the radio broadcast. If you don't have a mic, just send us an instant message with your comment, question, prayer, or music request. And of course, we will play it on the live radio program. And if you don't have that, you can always email us with a comment, question, or prayer or music request, and we'll make sure that we will get to that as soon as we can. Well, of course, it is now December, and of course it's that time of season again where mostly the Western so-called professing Christian world in Europe and North America and Australia and New Zealand and other British colonies around the world, and of course the Scandinavian peoples and so on, it is their time to celebrate of course, what people call Christmas, or the Mass of Christ. And apparently, as these people try to tell us, when, of course, in a few weeks, people are going to, and they're probably hearing it already in their churches, that coming up is the birthday of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. This is the claim, of course, that a lot of these churches make, that December 25th somehow is the birthday of Jesus Christ. Now, where they get that, I'm not sure, because if you look into the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, you will find nowhere in the pages of your Bible the date, December 25th, as the birthday of Jesus Christ. Now, that's probably a revelation for many of people that don't read the Bible. They probably just assumed that the date was already in the Bible, that, Jesus was born on December 25th. Well, guess what? It's not in there. So if it's not in the Bible, where did these churches conjure up this date of December 25th? I found it interesting. Many years ago, when I came into the knowledge of the Bible, I found it interesting that the first time I heard that it's nowhere in the Bible, the date of the birth of Christ, that first time I heard that, I found it strange, like a light kind of flickered in my brain, and I said to myself, well, wait a minute. Let's search this here for a little bit. So I went through the gospel accounts, and I went through it, and the stories of the birth of Christ, and nowhere was there a date. And I went through the New Testament, the Old Testament, any indication that says that Christ was born in December. Nothing. Well, that led me further to more study on where did they get this date of December 25th. Now, this is what I found in the encyclopedias. Maybe if you just look it up in an encyclopedia, it'll tell you. In the Britannica 1946 edition, it says Christmas, i.e. the Mass of Christ. Christmas was not among the early festivals of the church. It wasn't instituted by Christ or the apostles or the Bible. So it didn't come from the church. The church never celebrated Christmas. The Encyclopedia Americana says Christmas. It was, according to many authorities, not celebrated in the first centuries of the Christian church, as the Christian usage in general was to celebrate the death of remarkable persons rather than their birth. So it's not there. Catholic Encyclopedia, of all places, admits Christmas was not among the early festivals of the church. That's the 1911 edition of the Catholic Encyclopedia. So if Christmas didn't originate with the church, and they didn't celebrate it in the first few centuries of the birth of the church and the growth of the church, well, where did it come from? This is what I found a very interesting statement by Durant, Will Durant. He's, of course, a historian, and he says this: Christianity did not destroy paganism, it adopted it. When the Christian church started to grow and became very, very powerful in the Roman world, it didn't destroy paganism, it adopted it. You see, when all these converts started to come into church, mainly Gentile, non-Jewish converts, and they saw these converts coming into the church, the Christian church, not only accepted them, it accepted many of their customs, and for them not to leave the church, they adopted many of their festivals into the Christian church. That way the converts would stay in the church and, of course, not go back into the world and so on. And so the Christian church adopted many of these pagan practices, and when they did, many people, by the thousands, came into the Christian church because they saw that they didn't really have to change their lifestyle. They could keep a lot of their festivals that they were celebrating already. And one of them was December 25th. And what is December 25th? The Holman Bible Dictionary says this, and it's a very interesting statement. It says here that the birth of Mithra, who was the sun god, it says December 25th was the god's birthday, and Sunday was the holy day. And that's in Holman's Bible Dictionary, page 981. So the sun god, who was Mithra, his birthday was December 25th, a festival that already existed long before the birth of Jesus Christ. They didn't call it Christmas. They called it the festival of Sol Invictus. Sol Invictus. And it was there long before Christ. And it was celebrated by the Romans. And the emperor identified himself as the sun god. It says here in the book From Constantine to Julian by Dominic Montserrat, page 75, the identification of the Roman emperor with the sun has a long history. Nero also erected outside his golden house a colossal statue of Sol Apollo with a radiant crown. The Emperor Aurelian was a devotee of the Syrian cult Sol Invictus. A magnificent temple was erected to Sol on the Agrippae. On its dedication day, Natalis, meaning birth, was December 25th. In the 3rd century, the inscriptions to Sol, Apollo, and Mithras were sometimes interchangeable because they were all one and the same god. So the birthday of Sol Invictus was December 25th, and the emperors identified themselves with that sun god. They thought they were God incarnate on the earth. Notice The Mysteries of Mithra by Franz Kuhlmann. He says the identification of the emperor as a sun god, encouraged by Eastern theology of the king's son, and by political considerations, undoubtedly contributed to the diffusion of a public sun cult. And I could quote to you many sources where the emperor identified himself with the sun god, and guess what? The emperors were worshipped.